Welcome to Reviews That Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair.
Blair, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited for you today, brother.
Oh, it is a big day for me. Very big day. It is going to be a lengthy episode. It is going to be a fun episode. I can't wait. I've been waiting a long time to do this one.
Yeah, you have. We both have, man. We both have.
What are we, like 40 some episodes in? I'm surprised it took this long.
I know, me too.
Yeah. Oh,
Your
goodness.
favorite movie of all time, man.
Yeah, I can't wait. Before we get into that, though.
Yeah, okay.
What do you say we chat a little bit about some horror news? You want to kick this one off?
Okay, so I've got two pieces here, and they're both on trailers.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah,
yep.
We had the release of the first Exorcist trailer, finally.
Yeah.
So it was showing in theaters at the opening of Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we finally got a taste of it. It was finally released, and it looks good, man.
Yeah, this trailer has been teased for, it seems like forever. It was released at a couple cons a month ago or months ago.
Yeah.
And we've just been dying to see this. And we watched it on our lunch break the other day, and it does look great.
And not even together. Like, I watched it and then you watched it after. Like, we took turns watching it. I love the little flashback to Linda Blair and like Reagan's story.
Yeah, I love that. I love the nods to the original. I love the music in the trailer, which of course is the theme song to The Exorcist. I loved how much time Ellen Bernstein was getting in the trailer. We obviously know that it seems like she's going to be a big part of this movie.
Yeah.
You had mentioned a couple bits with Linda Blair. It has been mentioned that she will be in the film in some capacity.
Well, I think in the trailer, they just show a picture of her. Like, it's just a photo.
Yeah. And I thought I read somewhere that she was on set for a couple days, but who knows what came of that.
Fingers
it does
crossed,
look
man.
very good. Yeah, I appreciate that. I know horror movies, when they release trailers, they tend to give a lot of way. They tend to show you a lot of the scares or a lot of the gruesome bits. This one, it showed a lot of crazy things, but I feel like there's a lot they didn't show us that they're saving for the actual release of the movie, which is really cool.
I totally agree. It was a lengthy trailer.
It was, yeah.
But I feel like they still left a lot to see when you watch the movie.
Agreed. Yeah. So that one looks great. What was the release date on that one?
October 13th.
13th. Okay.
It's coming out
The
October
Exorcist
13th.
Believer. Yeah. You said you had another trailer to talk about.
Yes. This one just came out a couple hours ago. Like literally a couple hours ago, and it's Saw 10.
Yeah.
Did you watch it already?
I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
Initial thoughts, looks great.
Yeah. It looks very much like a Saw movie.
Yeah. We had mentioned in the last episode that neither of us have seen a Saw movie in a minute.
A long time. Well, I just watched Saw 3D the other night because we had talked about that. And I was like, I think I should probably watch a Saw movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, before that, it had been a while.
This one looks good. It looks good. I feel like it's been a while since we've had a Saw movie come out.
Yeah.
It obviously is going to have that gruesome gore, blood that all of the Saw movies have. But this one seems like it's going to have a lot of thriller kind of movie aspects to it as well.
Yeah, it did.
So it's going to be it's going to be a little bit maybe deeper than just, blood and guts, which is, sometimes can be a bit refreshing. Yeah.
That's all I have for horror news, man. But yeah, 2 good trailers this week, bro.
Okay, I'm going to add on top of that, there was a trailer that we missed that came out 3 weeks ago. Maybe we didn't miss it, but we certainly didn't chat about it. Okay. The Nun 2 also had a trailer release. That was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, right. And I did watch it.
I watched it today, but that one totally flew under the radar for me. But What are you going to do? What else do I have here? I obviously have Exorcist Believer. And then finally, the much anticipated Talk to Me released last night. And it's a hit.
Yeah, it looks scary, man.
Yeah, this is a film about a viral craze, including a well-preserved severed hand. And it's getting rave reviews, which is really, really awesome. And it's an A24 movie. And they seem to never miss, which really excited to see that one. On top of that, I did go last night to the opening of Disney's Haunted Mansion, and it was a lot of fun. Highly recommended. A lot of fun. I don't know if we'll be reviewing that one anytime soon. I don't know. But
we'll see.
It got the thumbs up approval from me. It was a lot of fun. Very funny.
Maybe we'll do a Disney horror month.
Why not? That is all I have for horror news. Let's stop beating around the bush. Let's get into this week's episode. I can't contain my excitement anymore. This week, to end this great month we've had, Camp Eat Every Sandwich Month, aka Summertime Classics, we are visiting my favorite horror movie of all time, 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This one coming in at 1 hour, 23 minutes. Initial thoughts on the runtime?
Man, come on. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Right in the sweet spot, as we say. Let's talk about some fun facts. You want to kick this one off?
All right. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre was not the original title for this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, the original script, it was actually titled Head Cheese.
I didn't know that. That's great.
The legendary dinner scene was shot in one 27-hour long day.
Dear Lord.
The actor who played the grandpa he refused to sit in the makeup chair for another 10 hours if they had to, shut it down for the day and then do it on a different day.
Right. So they only had really one kick at the can.
Yeah, and it took 27 hours, man.
That gave me flashbacks to when we were talking about the scene from Terrifier, the famous saw in half scene, which took, what was it, 14 hours or something crazy like that. But wow, that's insane. I did read somewhere with makeup chair prosthetics, they had one kick at the can.
Yeah, right.
What else you got?
The scene in which Sally's finger is cut so that her blood can be fed to Grandpa.
Yeah.
In that scene, she was actually cut with a knife.
Nuts.
Yeah. The pump that they were using for the fake blood with the prop knife, it kept getting clogged and wouldn't work. So they just cut her with a real knife.
They said just do it.
Done. Yeah, just to get the scene done.
Apparently, there were quite a few injuries on this set. Sally having a couple. There's a scene where her character runs through the window of the house. And in the scene, she was replaced by a stunt double, I believe, to run through the glass. But she cut herself kind of standing near the glass. So it's like, okay, well, she didn't jump through the glass, but she still ended up cutting herself. It's crazy.
It's fucking wild, man. That is all I'm going to say. I'm pretty sure you have a bunch of fun facts, and we could probably talk all day with fun facts on this movie.
Yeah, they're a mile long. I've got a couple here. Apparently, Tobe Hooper had originally hoped to get a PG rating for this movie.
I read that as well. It's like, good luck, buddy. Like, it's not happening.
So this one, the language is, foul language is pretty minimal. There is no nudity in this movie at all. And a lot of the violence does happen off screen. So he was hoping for a PG rating. Instead, the film originally got an X rating, which is like the complete opposite of what they were hoping for. He finally, after a lot of begging and pleading and cutting, he finally got it down to an R rating.
Oh, man.
He tried his best, but not even close.
No, man, you're not going to get a PG rating. Just watching that movie, It is not a PG movie.
The title alone, it's like... He shot for the stars and he burned up pretty quick. Another fun fact I have here, the film had such a low budget that Gunnar Hansen, who played Leatherface, only had one shirt.
Really?
And because it had been dyed previously, he wasn't allowed to wash it. So for the entire shoot, which was 4 weeks in the hot Texas heat, he had to wear the same disgusting shirt. Apparently,
no.
so bad that nobody would go and sit by him or eat lunch with him. Well worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah,
well
for sure.
I got another one here. The original distributor of the film was Bryanston Distribution Company, which turned out to be a front for the mob.
I heard that as well.
Yeah, this is like a big fun fact about this movie. But apparently, the actors and the crew were only paid like $405 each. I believe they ended up suing them later down the line. But yeah, film was completely funded by the mafia, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
And then finally, this is my favorite fun fact, and it's a personal fun fact that I have on this one.
Okay.
And I believe this is one of the reasons why I love this movie so much. But my parents, the very first date they went on together was to go and see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That is pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's
my
pretty
dad,
awesome.
I told them today that we were reviewing it, and their faces lit up. My parents, I can't imagine either of them liked it at all. But my dad had mentioned that he could have sworn that tickets were 25 cents.
Oh, could you imagine?
Yeah. But that is something that I remember my dad told me years ago, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. But their first date, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is pretty special.
That's pretty awesome. My parents' first date was also a horror movie, but I cannot remember which one it is.
You got to find out.
I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
I'll let you know on our next episode.
Brilliant. That's what I have for fun facts. What do you say we get into a little bit of info on the people who made this glorious film? Directed by the legendary Tobe Hooper, also directed 1981's The Funhouse, 1979's Salem's Lot, 1982's Poltergeist, and the music video of the 1983 classic Dancing with Myself by Billy Idol.
Right on, man.
Great song. This one, written by Tobe Hooper, also wrote the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which, if you haven't seen it, go and see it for Shock Top.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. And also directed by Kim Henkel, also wrote Texas Chainsaw Massacre The Next Generation, which I believe is the third one in the series. And he also directed that one.
Okay.
And then he also wrote 1983's Last Night at the Alamo, which is a really cool, fun indie movie, which people should also go and see. This one, it's a big cast. I'm not going to talk about everyone. Everyone does deserve their moment in the spotlight. I do want to say that most of the actors in this movie did not go on to do a whole lot.
No.
As far as movies go, I was looking at all of their IMDb's, and it's, they had 2 or 3 movie listings, which is kind of crazy because the movie is so, monumental. But anyways, Marilyn Burns, iconic, starred as Sally Hardesty, also starred in 1976's miniseries Helter Skelter, where she played Manson family member Linda Kasabian. Also starred in 2013's Texas Chainsaw. And she actually lived in Texas.
Oh, really?
Now, I thought for the longest time that she was in the newest Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre as Sally Hardesty, but that wasn't her.
I thought, Kate, I thought we kind of talked about that when we reviewed that movie.
We did a couple episodes back. We did talk about that. And Marilyn Burns, to my understanding, I believe she has passed on.
Oh, okay.
But the character will live on forever.
Yeah.
One of the greatest, one of the OG Scream Queens, lover. Also starring Edwin Neal as the hitchhiker, a.k.a. Nubbin Sawyer. Also starred in 1991's JFK and Knight Rider 2000 alongside David Hasselhoff. Also fought in Vietnam, where he was awarded the Bronze Star of Valor.
And Wild Man.
Also starring Paul A. Partain as Franklin. Also starred in Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation and in 1975's Race with the Devil. Now, to my understanding, he was a bit of a pain in the butt on set.
I read that the other cast members didn't really like him too much.
Yeah, apparently he was kind of the old school technique. He was a method actor.
Mhm.
So whether they were filming or not, he was in character. And for those of you who have seen the movie, his character is slightly annoying.
So fucking annoying, man.
Oh goodness! Also starring Jim Sadow as the old man, aka Cook,
Mhm.
aka Drayton Sawyer. Also starred in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. He was 20 years older than the guy who played Grandpa.
I know, that's wild, hey? Isn't that crazy?
And then finally, the last person I want to touch on, of course, one of our favorites, the legendary Gunnar Hansen as Leatherface, aka Jedediah Bubba Sawyer. Also starred in 1988's Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, and as Earl the Bank Robber in the 1994 classic Mosquito.
Mosquito.
A favorite of the show. That movie is something else.
Oh, is it ever?
He was also apparently offered a role in the 1977 classic The Hills Have Eyes.
Okay.
But he turned it down because I believe he wanted to focus on writing. And then later on in life, he realized, I can do it both. He also wrote, if you want more info on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he also wrote a great book called Chainsaw Confidential. It was just all about the making of the movie. I highly recommend it. It's an easy read. It's a really fun read. I love it.
I have that book.
It's so good.
Yeah.
That's what I have for starring. Let's jump into the synopsis for 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, courtesy of IMDb. 5 friends head out to rural Texas to visit the grave of a grandfather. On the way, they stumble across what appears to be a deserted house, only to discover something sinister within. Something armed with a chainsaw.
Hell yeah, man. Oh, fucking
I
yeah.
love it. I love it. It is such a good synopsis. I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
What do you say we mention? I didn't write it down here, but this leads to one of our favorite segments, Kill Count.
Kill Count. The time of the show we count the kills.
Blairski, what do we have for kill count on 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
So we have a kill count of 5, but that doesn't count the numerous dead corpses already kind of laying around everywhere. It's just 5 kills in the movie, and they're fucking every kill is great.
Can we bring up the fact that this movie is called Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and only one person dies at the hand of a chainsaw?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Franklin is the only one that perishes by chainsaw.
Although he does use the chainsaw to carve some people up after they're already dead.
He does indeed. I mean, Leatherface, very resourceful. Oh, goodness. This leads to one of our favorite segments, Likes and Dislikes. The portion of the show where we talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and everything in between. Blairski, kick it off.
Where do I start, right?
Oh, goodness.
I'll start right at the beginning with the opening scene.
Yes.
The writing going up.
Yep.
And the narrator just reading it off. It is so epic. So many movies have done it since.
It's badass. Do you mind? I have it written down here. Do you mind? And it is lengthy, but we are both fans of badass intros, and this is the definition of a badass intro.
Yeah, are you going to read it for us?
Bear with me while I read through this. Okay, so we hear the narrator say, "The film which you are about to see is an account of the tragedy which befell a group of 5 youths, in particular Sally Hardesty and her invalid brother Franklin. It is all the more tragic in that they were young, but had they lived very, very long lives, they could not have expected, nor would they have wished, to see as much of the mad and macabre as they were to see that day. For them, an idyllic summer afternoon drive became a nightmare. The events of the day were to lead to the discovery of one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre."
And they wanted this movie rated PG?
Yes, indeed.
It was
That was the
fucking-
hopes and prayers. That was the hopes and prayers. What a great intro. I
so
love
good.
that.
It is so good, man. It's so
I
good.
love that. Yeah. Yeah.
On top of that, right after that, the whole intro where they're showing the photos of all the dead bodies, and you finally get that classic Texas chainsaw sound. I'm not sure if it's like a violin or what it is that they use, but it's a masterpiece. It's so epic.
So I always thought it was like a camera, like
Well,
almost like a camera shutter whirring, or I always thought it sounded like a camera.
well, and it could be because in that beginning scene, it is snapping through photos
Yeah.
of dead bodies, and every time the picture changes, it makes that sound. So it could be, but like to me, it also sounds like maybe a violin like being played backwards or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I love that. It's such a unique sound, and the minute I hear it, it's just like immediately when I think of sound effects and movies, that is one that I come back to. It's just iconic in this franchise. I love it.
Oh, and just in horror, like it's used in like haunted attractions all the time and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
We need to get this out of the way and talk about Franklin for a second.
Okay, fair enough.
It's gonna happen.
Let's get it out of the way. Yeah.
We got to talk about Franklin. Holy fuck, was he annoying, and was he annoying fast, man.
Yeah. And I do appreciate it. And all of the acting in this movie was really, really good.
Mhm.
And it's not like the character is annoying. And every other character in the movie realizes how annoying he is.
Yeah.
But he's a toddler. He's a child. He's throwing tantrums. He's asking a million questions. He's stubborn.
Whiny,
He's a
whiny.
pain in the butt, and he won't hand over a flashlight. Just hand it over.
Yeah, that scene where they're in not the chainsaw house, but the kind of old abandoned house before that.
Yeah,
and he's throwing the biggest temper tantrum.
Yeah,
because everyone's kind of deserted him, I guess.
Yeah, you got a group going to the swimming hole, and he's just kind of left behind, which I hate to say I wouldn't leave him behind also, but
probably would, right?
Franklin just got quite tiresome.
that scene at the near the beginning where he falls down the hill just because the truck flies by.
Yeah, he's trying to urinate into a Folgers can. Goodness gracious,
man. He's the kind of character you love, but like you love to hate him. You know,
I agree with that. You love to hate Franklin. He has so many great one-liners that we'll get to in Line of the Night.
Yeah,
but man, oh man, is he a pain in the butt?
Is he ever?
Oh
man?
Goodness! What else do you like about this one?
Well, I just want to also bring up. Speaking of Franklin, I feel like him and the hitchhiker, they could talk for hours together about like killing and processing animals.
Yeah, they could also talk for hours about nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like if there was any two other people having that conversation, they would both realize pretty quick. It's like, oh, this is a dumb conversation to be having.
Yeah.
But they're both just like, let them have their chat.
Everyone's just sitting back watching, kind of like what the fuck look on their face. It's so funny, man. I love it. The bone room. Okay. First off, it's awesome. I'm curious if those are real bones.
I would not
or if they're props.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were real. They're in Texas. They're in, barbecue land. I imagine they probably went to a bunch of slaughterhouses. I imagine that they probably just, in an old barn found a whole bunch of bones. I bet they're real.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, like, Pirates of the Caribbean and Disneyland, they used to use real bones.
Really? Okay.
They used to. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think the one pirate that's on the bed, like the skeleton that's on the bed on the ride, I think that's still a real skeleton. If I'm not mistaken.
Wild. when I leave this world, that's what I would like my bones to be used for. A haunted attraction would be great.
Right. That would be fucking awesome.
Oh goodness. But yeah, and it's I can't imagine a film that had such a small budget would be spending money on props.
Yeah, exactly.
If they didn't have to.
Exactly.
I want to chat about how I love how isolated this movie feels.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are truly in the middle of nowhere, which adds to the suspense. I mean, that's one of my biggest fears is being in the middle of nowhere, no gas, not knowing where I am, and having a crazy, family of cannibals chasing me down.
It's so scary, man.
And not knowing where to go. Like that's terrifying. They are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. She's so lucky she found the road at the end of the movie. And luckily enough, there were vehicles on it.
Yeah. To add to the my love of the isolation feel of this movie, I love the music in this one, or I guess the lack thereof music.
Lack of, for sure.
Not only do the visuals, you get the isolation from the visuals of this movie, but from the sound as well. There is hardly any music played, and most of the sound you just hear is like the sound of the wind.
Mm-hmm.
The wind or wild animals, or I love that. It's so creepy and it's rare. It is so rare.
It's probably because they didn't have the budget for a soundtrack.
Probably. But even if they did, I would be like, pump the brakes, don't put a soundtrack into it, because what you have here is special and it sounds so good. This movie, just all in all, it just is so raw. And I think that's why it appeals to horror fans. I know that's why it appeals to me so much. You could tell that it was made on next to no budget, but it was made with 100% passion.
Man, this movie was a stepping stone for horror as we know it today. 100%.
1974. Look at all the movies that came after it. Like, this is groundbreaking. And this movie does not hold back. I mean, especially, you mentioned the 5 kills, but especially with the kills, this movie did not hold back.
Yeah.
I felt like they weren't dragged out like a lot of horror movies are. There was one massive chase scene at the end, but the rest of the kills, I mean, it felt like Leatherface, like it felt like all of the main characters were just pigs on the way to the slaughter. Mm-hmm. And Leatherface was just doing his job.
Yeah, one after another, very quickly.
Yeah, he wasn't wasting any time. He was just going to work. And if he had 2 people at the same time, he would, hook one off to the side while he was still working on the next one, knowing that I'm going to get to you next. But I love that it was just bam, bam, bam. He's not going to waste any time.
No. And that was my next note is the hook scene.
Oh, so good.
It's so good. And I love how it's just so raw when he puts her up on the hook.
Yeah.
You just hear the just little slight sound of her just sitting in on the hook. Oh man, it's so unsettling. And
then she watches her boyfriend be butchered by Leatherface.
Yeah, right in front of her.
I read somewhere that the character Pam, or the actress who played Pam, has gone on to say that she thinks Pam also survived. She said there's no way that Pam's character would have died there. She's a fighter, which, I don't necessarily agree, but I like that logic behind it. Pam is a fighter, but I don't know how she would have, and I don't know how she would have got off that hook.
No, I don't either, without being taken off and then probably killed, right? But it's not the one scene I think of when I think of Texas Chainsaw, but it is one of the few that come to mind when I'm, I'll tell you what scene comes to my mind when I think of Texas Chainsaw, and that's the dinner scene. Okay. The dinner scene at the end, the one that was shot in 27-hour-long day. That dinner scene to me is what I think of anytime I think of this movie.
It is insane. And everyone, that's where like the acting chops. Oh my God. Edwin Neal, as the hitchhiker, and Sally Hardesty especially. Mm-hmm. Sally Hardesty, basically from the scene before that in the gas station till the end of the movie, does not stop screaming.
No, no, she does not.
She is so good in that dinner scene.
Yeah.
Now, what makes it one of your favorite scenes in the movie?
A lot of it is the dialogue that they're having with her, the toying with her.
Yeah.
It's unsettling, man. It's brutal and hard to watch. I found that scene to be the hardest to watch in the whole movie. That scene, and also when the cook has her in the truck and he's just jabbing her with the fucking broomstick. That was a pretty hard scene to watch too.
Yeah, the kind of the turning point. You're kind of uneasy with the cook at first, but then when Sally's getting away and she goes into the restaurant or gas station only to find out that the cook is not going to help her, and in fact is going to stuff her into a burlap sack while hitting her with a broom, which the swings he is taking with that broom are just as vicious as that chainsaw. Holy.
Oh man, they're brutal. And he's just like, he's enjoying every second of it. Like the look on his face as he's just jabbing her. Oh, it's eerie, man.
Yeah. So my favorite scene in this movie, and in my opinion, is the best ending to a horror movie. And it's my favorite acting of the whole movie. It is Sally Hardesty in the back of the pickup truck, covered head to toe in blood, laughing hysterically, driving away while the frustrated Leatherface twirls around, swinging his chainsaw around. That is my favorite scene in the whole movie, and it is the very last scene. I love it. She's hysterical, but she's gotten away. But you know that this isn't it for her. She's going to be going through a lot of stuff for the rest of her life.
Is she ever?
What a great scene. And she did that without saying a word. She just screamed.
Yeah, screamed and laughed.
You could tell that she's never going to be the same after that. I love that scene. It's great.
That scene's become so epic. It has become so epic to this day.
That's the scene. That image of her screaming is the scene that I immediately think of when people mention Texas Chainsaw.
Which, fair enough, man. Fair enough. It's such a good scene.
Yeah. What else did you like or not like about this one?
I just also want to talk before that scene when she gets into the truck, when the hitchhiker is chasing her down and he's just carving her up, man. He's carving the shit out of her back. That scene is so brutal. But then he gets smoked by a semi truck.
Yes, he does. He does indeed. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Can we talk about now? Gunnar Hansen maybe only had one shirt in this movie, but he had 3 incredible masks. Those masks are so great. They're so unique. And not only are the masks different, but every one that he's wearing, his personality changes. I know that, for instance, when he's the pretty girl, he has a voice. He doesn't say anything that's audible, but it's all just kind of the tone of his voice or the pitch of his voice.
He seems more confident. He seemed more confident wearing that
mask. Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. Those masks. Do you have a favorite mask?
Well, I think both, we've talked about this before. We both are fans of the Pretty Woman mask.
Yeah, I love it.
It's the scene he wears at the end. It's the scene he wears throughout the dinner scene. And it's just such a good mask. It's so good.
Jump scares in this movie.
Yeah. There's a few.
Now, there's not many. There's 2 that definitely come to mind. I've seen this movie, Blair, I don't know how many times. And I was telling you this the other day. They get me every single time. And I know they're coming. Yeah. But they get me every single time. One in particular was, Pam in the freezer.
In the freezer. It got both of us. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's just so shocking. She comes jumping out of this thing, and it's a combination of the music, which is minimal in this movie, but there's one point in this movie that does have it. And then her eyes just as wide as saucers. Oh my goodness.
Then Leatherface just comes and shoves her right back in.
Yeah. Like it's nobody business. It's like, what are you doing in there?
It's so good.
Oh goodness. I'm trying to think of what else I have here. I mean, obviously the chainsaw is iconic, but there's a couple different weapons in this movie used.
There is.
I know the hammer, the mallet is pretty iconic as well.
And there's switchblade, or just the little pocket knife that hitchhiker uses.
Yeah, absolutely. Within the first, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of the movie. Yeah. I love the aesthetic of this movie. I love how gritty it is, how dirty it is. You can feel the heat coming off the screen. I'm babbling at this point, and you would warn the listeners that, I mean, we could talk about this movie for days.
Forever. I have absolutely nothing bad written down about this movie, and I can just talk about how good it is forever.
We had mentioned Franklin and how much he gets on our nerves, but that doesn't necessarily, it's not a bad thing. It's a nice character balance between the other characters.
It is not the same movie without him. So
no, agreed.
You know
agreed.
What I mean?
I think we should probably move on. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we could literally talk about our likes in this case forever.
We could. We're only halfway through the episode. We still gotta. This leads to one of our favorite segments of the show: lessons we learned from watching 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Lessons we learned from watching. Insert title of movie here.
The segment of the show where we talk about the valuable life lessons we learned from watching said movie. Blairski, what did you learn?
I've just got one that is broken up into two things, which is don't pick up hitchhikers and don't enter someone's house uninvited.
It's just simple. Basic. Basic.
Just like any movie, man, none of this would have happened if they didn't pick up the hitchhiker and if they didn't just go wandering into a random house.
Yeah, or even if they listened to, a member of the cannibalistic family when they, mentioned don't do that because people don't like it.
Yeah.
Like if they would have, he gave them an out and they didn't take it. I learned a couple things here. I learned that Saturn is a bad influence when it's in retrograde, as per Pam. Pam was reading horoscopes and astrology magazines for like the first portion of that movie.
Yeah.
And then finally, I agree with you. Don't pick up hitchhikers, even if they have good recipe for head cheese. They could slash you with a dirty old razor blade, or worse, take a bad picture of you and then hassle you for a couple of dollars.
It's so fucking weird, man.
Oh, yeah, you can pay me now. You can pay me now.
It's like, get the fuck out of my van.
I know, man. This leads to one of our favorite segments of the show, Line of the Night.
Line of the Night. Line of the Night. Line of the Night. Line of the Night. Line of the Night. Line of the Night. Line of the Night. Line of the Night. Line of the Night.
The segment of the show where we discuss our favorite lines from the movie. They might give us chills. They might give us the giggles. All we know is that they are our favorites. Blairski, do you have a couple lines of the night?
All right. Well, I think we just picked up Dracula. Said by Franklin after they picked up the hitchhiker. Yeah. But I've also got the entire opening narration, which you already read out for us. The entire conversation between Franklin and the hitchhiker, as well as pretty much anything Franklin says, could all be used as lines of the night, man.
This script, I really like the script in this movie. It's great.
It's so good. Also, the entire scene at the dinner table, all the dialogue in that scene could also be used as lines of the night. So I don't have any more particulars written down because there's just so many, man. There's just so many good ones.
I've got a couple here. Also, Franklin. Yeah, I think we picked up Dracula. But then the hitchhiker also says, "My family's always been in meat."
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. The old man, after seeing that Leatherface has taken a chainsaw to the front door of their house, says, "Look what your brother did to the door. Ain't he got no pride in his home?"
Yeah.
Of course, the home is just covered in bones and feathers. And I thought that was great. I love this one. When Franklin starts asking directions from the old man at the gas station, the old man says, "You don't want to go fooling around other folks' property. some folks don't like it, and they don't mind showing you.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. He
Yep.
gave you an out,
Yeah.
but you didn't bite. I love that bit.
So good, man. So good.
I could mention a million other, but those are the
Right?
ones that I love. And then obviously I want to add Line of the Night. I want to add Sally Hardesty screaming for the last 40 minutes of this.
Yeah.
It's great.
It was good.
This leads to our favorite segment of the show, Celebrity Lookalike Time.
Celebrity lookalike time.
The time of the show where we take a look at the cast and discuss their celebrity doppelgangers. Spoiler alert, it usually comes down to the character, hairstyle. Blairski, what do you got for celebrity lookalike?
All right. The Hitchhiker reminded me of James Franco in Pineapple Express.
Okay. All right, I can see it.
Sally also reminded me of Michelle Phillips from the American folk rock group, the Mamas and the Papas.
California Dreaming, baby.
Oh, yeah, man.
Okay. Yeah, good one. I like that one.
And then finally, the character Jerry reminded me of an early 70s John Lennon. And it's definitely the hair, definitely the glasses.
Glasses, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I've got a couple to add on to the character Jerry. He reminded me of legendary singer-songwriter John Denver.
Okay.
Mr. Leaving on a Jet Plane. Again, hair, glasses. But he also reminded me of the owner of Zifcor and one-time boyfriend of Marge Simpson, Artie Ziff.
He does. He totally does.
Artie Ziff, yeah. I am watching you through a camera. Oh, goodness. And then finally, Franklin reminded me a little bit of James Belushi,
Okay.
a.k.a. Jim Belushi. But a little bit of John Belushi as well. That's what I have for celebrity lookalike time. Oh, boy, am I glad that we finally reviewed this movie.
Me too, man.
Took us long enough. What are we, 44 episodes in, 43?
I think this will be episode 44. I think this is 44.
That is a crime indeed that we did not do this within the first 5, but I'm glad that we did it. Long time coming. I love this movie.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen like all the movies? There's so many of them.
No, and that's I don't want to mess with a bad thing.
Yeah.
I love the first one so much. I've seen the second one, and the second one is very different. It is
it's goofy, right? Like it's more goofy.
It's very goofy. It has Bill Moseley in it as one of my favorite Shock Top. I mentioned that earlier. I love him. He's great in the movie. It has
the same cook, right? The cook's in it again.
The cook is in it, and it also has Dennis Hopper. I was like, what is his name? Hopper, Dennis Hopper.
Okay.
He plays a police officer wielding dual chainsaws.
Right on.
It is a great movie. I love that movie. It is completely different from the first one. But I've seen a couple of the remakes. I obviously watched the newest Netflix one, but it's not the same, man. It's not the same.
I think the newest Netflix one is more of a sequel because Sally's in it. The character of Sally is in it, even though it's a different actress.
Yeah.
And she comes trying to get revenge and obviously fails miserably. So it must be some sort of sequel because the character Sally is in it.
I feel like they relied too much on blood and gore in this one.
Yeah.
Where the original, I feel like it doesn't rely on blood and gore to get the scare necessarily.
It does.
It has blood and gore, but it doesn't rely on it to get the scare. Whereas in the newest one and perhaps a couple of the remakes, the sequels, it maybe does rely a bit on the blood and gore, which not for everyone.
I am a fan of I believe it's 2003 remake with Jessica Biel.
I think
thought
that
it was
one,
pretty good.
And I think that one is just called Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think.
It is Massacre.
I think it's Massacre. Yeah.
There's been a bunch of them. I know Matthew McConaughey was in one of them. There's there's a ton of them. But to me, the original and part 2 are the only ones that matter to me.
Yeah, that hold dear to your heart.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. This has been a fun one to talk about. What do you say we rate this baby?
Let's do it, man. What do you got?
All right. Blairski, out of 5 awkward family dinners,
Okay.
what do you give 1974? It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I'm giving it 5 awkward family dinners out of 5. This movie is great. It's perfect. It's a great movie.
That makes me so happy. This is not only is Leatherface on the Mount Rushmore of a mask wearing horror bad guys, Texas Chainsaw is on the Mount Rushmore of iconic horror movies, in my opinion.
100% agree.
This movie opens so many doors for other horror movies around this time. I love it. And that is why I am also giving it, this is the easiest decision review-wise for the show so far, 5 awkward family dinners out of 5. I see it doing very well come awards season.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Oh, goodness. This was a great one to talk about. They're all great ones to talk about, but this one definitely was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this, especially for you. I just knew how excited you were to finally cover this movie. So
I'm buzzing. So that's it for Can't Eat Every Sandwich Month. I'm excited. It was a great month. We watched some great movies. And I am very excited for next month, which is international films.
Looking forward to it, man.
It's a genre. It's a long time coming. There's a lot of great films from all over the world, and we can't wait to dive right in. But from Reviews That Scare with Jess and Blair, I'm Jess.
I'm Blair. Remember to stay scary.
And eat every sandwich. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Reviews That Scare. Make sure you check out our Linktree at linktree/Reviews That Scare. That's linktr.ee/Reviews That Scare, which has links to our Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, and many other things. If you'd like to email us, you can reach us at reviewsthatscare@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay scary and eat every sandwich. A proud member of the Planet X Network.